Hi guys and welcome to Logic Language Learning. So today is another video in the constant battle between le and lui as pronouns. The forces of good and evil are always in battle against each other, as is the pull towards le or lui as a pronoun. So this video is not a request video, but it was inspired by Jason. Jason is somebody that I teach who's doing very well, and he likes a bit of grammar. Now, sometimes with grammar, the questions that he asks will just be, oh yeah, it's absolutely that. There's no way that we wouldn't even know that. There's no way that anybody who speaks French, whether they're particularly educated or particularly, uneducated, pardon me saying it, that's just French. Sometimes there are questions of grammar that are only questions that the learner will be asking themselves, and often there's questions of grammar where if you actually Google them, you will see forums for French people, French speakers, where people are going, what's the best grammar for this? Because it is a very grammatical language. And sometimes you just get caught in a muscle memory of saying something, which is actually, as I always say, one of the best things you can do for yourself. Say every bit of French that you know is correct out loud, get it in your muscle memory, don't get it in your visual brain thing. So, Jason asked a really good question. I think he asked the question quite late at night, and because it was my birthday weekend or thereabouts, I think I'd had a drink. So, Jason had asked me, Luke, if I said I took them to the museum, je les ai amenés au musée. Yeah, so je les ai amenés, because amener is a direct verb. You're going to take somebody, je les ai amenés. Side note, the verb we're using there is amener. Quick reminder, to bring a person, amener, short form amen, gains an accent, amener, amen. Same with bring a thing, apporter, yeah. You can use emporter to take away, to take a thing away, like with take out or take away food, okay? So you've got A, E, amener, emmener, apporter, emporter. But yeah, so Jason said, I took them to the museum, talking about his two beautiful daughters, so je les ai amenés au musée. And then he said, well, what would it be if I made them... Now, what he wrote was I made them go to them. What he wrote was, how would you say, Luke, I made them visit the museum? But my brain, because we just said another previous one, thought that it was I made them go to the museum. Okay. Which is je les ai fait aller au musée. And it was I made them visit the museum. And I said, yeah, je les ai fait. It's je les, it's direct, because les with faire. But then, a couple of hours later, I was talking to somebody else about a kid that we both used to look after. And I said, I was talking about this boy's father, and I said, yeah, he never forgave me because I made him buy it. I think it was a really noisy toy. So I made him speak, je l'ai fait parler, or je le fais parler, I make him speak. I make him work, je le fais travailler. I made him buy the game, je lui ai fait acheter le jeu. And that came out of my mouth, and I was like, hang on, what question did Jason ask me? Because often in WhatsApp I'm no, and as you can see, I've got a very broken phone and I can't always see the screen. And I was like, oh no, he said, I made them visit the museum rather than I made them go to the museum. And this is where this now gets weird in French. If you make somebody do a verb, stop, finish, done, you are going to use the direct. So he makes me speak, il me fait parler, il te fait parler, il nous fait parler, il vous fait parler. As per normal, our debate is always on the he, she, them, whatever, because that's where the word changes for direct or indirect. It can obviously change for reflexive, but the debate here is not reflexive, because you know it's not he himself, so that's fine. So, in other words then, he makes her speak, il la fait parler, he makes him speak, il le fait parler, like two different guys. If it went in the past, can I point out, you never make faire agree if there's an infinitive after it. So, for example, if you say, I made her speak, je l'ai fait parler, and even though that's using the direct la, le, je l'ai fait parler, it's not je l'ai fait, because you never make the past participle of faire agree with an added e or an added s if there's an infinitive coming after it. You make the past participle of faire agree if there's an adjective coming after it. So, for example, she made herself all beautiful. Elle s'est faite toute belle. You know, that's an expression. Elle s'est faite. Okay? Or she redid herself. In other words, she had a bit of a facelift. Elle s'est refaite. You'll often use. But in other words, then, so we're talking about le and la. I make her speak. Je la fais parler. I make him work. Je le fais travailler. I make them come. Je les fais venir. Now, I have to point out before we go any further that often we won't even say these in French. It's a very English thing to say. We'll often say, you know, je l'oblige à venir. I oblige her to come. You know, je force. You know, je le force à venir. Or je fais en sorte qu'il vienne. I do it in the way so that he comes. Faire en sorte is going to be in a video that's coming up, which is going to be on faire en sorte and à force de. So two great phrases. So keep an eye out for that. But basically then, to get to the point I'm trying to make, is if you then made somebody do a verb, but their verb then had an object. So for example, I made him buy the car. In theory, it shouldn't change your relationship with him. It's not ultimately grammatically altering the relationship between you and him. I made him buy the car. It doesn't alter how you stand with him directly or indirectly, and yet it's a very weird pocket of French grammar where it does change. So I made him buy. No, I made him speak. Je l'ai fait, or je le ai fait. Je l'ai fait parler. I made him buy the car. It should be je lui ai fait acheter la voiture, because there's a direct object. Because there's a direct object. And I cannot tell you the amount of people that would just say je l'ai fait, because we just so commonly not have an object on the end of it. And it doesn't feel that you're changing the... So if I said je le fais, I do it, it feels like, yeah, je le fais, it's the thing I'm doing. Je lui donne une rose, I give him a rose. It feels very clearly that I'm not giving him, I'm giving something to him. When we say je le fais parler, je lui fais parler le français, it changes because that verb has then got an object, but it doesn't weirdly feel any difference. The relationship between you and that person doesn't feel any different. So it's a very, very, very common one to use le rather than lui on, although that's not formally correct. I asked about 7 people, French speakers, first language French speakers, and the vast majority said le rather than lui, which is really interesting. But yes, so strictly speaking then, this is, let me give you some examples. So my mom makes her work. So my mom and, let's say, her granddaughter, okay? Because my niece Chloe loves to do her homework, so my mom doesn't really need to make her work, actually. But there you go. So, ma mère l'a fait travailler. Yeah, ma mère l'a fait travailler. My mom makes her clean the room. Ma mère lui fait nettoyer la chambre, because the verb has a direct object. And I know that seems weird, but that's what's going to go on. So your muscle memory is going to get used to je l'ai fait, je lui ai fait, and that's where the problem lies. Yeah, including with French speakers, okay? Now, all of this, so this video you can stop watching here if that satisfies you. All of this is known as the causative, okay? Because what you're doing is causing someone else to do something. I like to say, you've got a bitch. You've got a bitch. It's basically like, I am making this person do something. And what we're talking about is that it's going to change to, I am making this person do something to something else. Yeah, and so in other words, my bitch has a bitch. Now, in language, formally, okay, these words are known as agents and receiver. So I am doing my verb, yeah, I'm the subject, if you like. The agent is the... Oh, I've accidentally started my own... I've started my own video playing on the computer. Nobody wants to hear that voice. So basically, so an agent is the... So sometimes in a sentence you just have an agent, and sometimes in a sentence you have a recipient. Okay? So, subject plus faire is what we're talking about. So if I said I only have an agent, so I make my kids study every night. Je fais étudier mes enfants chaque soir. We're going to make Céline work. Nous allons faire travailler Céline. Notice that you need to start your sentence, then get in the faire, then get in the infinitive that comes after faire before you put in we're going to make Céline work or we're going to do anything else. These examples are courtesy of Lawless French, by the way. I've been using a few different websites because I like at the moment, you know, my obsession with giving you guys something to go and read. So, but the point to take away with you is that faire and its infinitive cannot be separated. Yeah, it cannot be separated. So I make Luc speak. Je fais parler. Yeah, je fais parler Luc. The Luc would need to go on the end, okay? Okay. Now that there solves the problem. It's not like je le fais parler or anything like that, okay? Because you've just got a name. Now that might feel weird to pop the word Luc on the end, but there you go. So with the agent only, you've got the person doing it, then the faire, then the infinitive, okay? Then the agent, which is the direct object, okay? The recipient, what is known as the recipient, okay? So, subject plus the faire plus the infinitive plus the recipient. So I make the so in other words the recipient. So let me give some examples. I have the lawn mowed on Saturdays, as in I get the lawn mowed. Okay, so je fais tondre. So I'm not doing the mowing of the lawn in any way, shape or form. Je fais tondre le gazon le samedi. Okay, so the recipient there, je fais tondre le gazon le samedi. Okay, notice that the faire and the conjugated form of faire and the verb that comes after it is not going to be separated. So I get the lawn mowed on a Saturday. I'm not mowing that lawn. That's the point. That's the point in all of this. All of this is you getting a little bitch to do your work for you. So je fais tondre, then give me on the end of that what gets done. Je fais tondre le gazon. Okay. If you use an agent and a recipient, that means that you are getting somebody to do something to somebody else. Okay? So for example, I make my son mow the lawn. In the first example, okay, if you just had the recipient only, so basically in the recipient, you have got the lawn is ultimately on the receiving end of the verb. So the recipient is really the thing or the person that is receiving the action of that verb. The agent is the person that you are employing, your bitch, to do that verb for you. So for example, I get the lawn mowed. The lawn is the recipient of the verb to mow. I get John to mow my lawn. John is my little bitch that's doing it for me. John is my agent, yeah, okay, that I'm getting to do the work for me. Now, let's talk about that then. So, what we're basically saying is, using the examples that we've got here, if you use agent and recipient, what weirds people out is that how far down the line you're going to put the person that you got to do it. So, like I said, faire and the next verb don't get separated. So it's like je fais. Let's use some examples which aren't here. I make Luc clean the car. Je fais nettoyer la voiture is I get the car cleaned. So that would be, you know, je fais nettoyer la voiture. I get the car cleaned. I have the car cleaned, if you want to think about it like that. Okay? I get Luc to clean the car. Je fais nettoyer la voiture par Luc or à Luc. And the à Luc is interesting because that feels indirect, and then if we said I make him clean the car, that would be, as we were talking about earlier, je lui fais